Welcome to NuttieBuddie Entertainment.
Okay, Brian, you have been waiting for this moment the entire podcast. Why don't you give us your first bad?
Don't say it like that. Come on.
Hey, I've been waiting too, but we all gotta be patient.
Yeah. My first bad is this 10-year time gap that we have, and where it leaves off from like Anakin joining, being that little kid, and then 10 years later, it just feels like little Annie is still stuffed inside Hayden Christensen's body, just with like his dialogue and the way that he acts. It's just, I don't know. The 10 years in the Jedi Order still hasn't like figured anything out. They have no clue on what's going on, as well as, Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman are the same age, like in real life. And like when they meet up, it's weird to think of her as being older than him. I don't know. It didn't really add up for me.
Mm-hmm. Canonically, I think she's 7 years older than him.
They're both born in 1981.
Yeah, right. But I'm saying in the movie, she's 7 years older than him.
Yes, okay. Exactly. Which they seem like they're the same age. That's why it didn't really seem like they I don't know, matured her as much as was needed for this. So.
Mm-hmm. So. In the Weird Al song, he mentions that Anakin was 9 and she was just 14 or something like that. Okay, so it's 6 years?
Yeah, she's either 14. I think she was elected when she was 14, and I think she's 16 in the Phantom Menace. But either way, 14, 16. Don't elect someone to rule your planet when they're a teenager.
So Weird Al lied to me, is what you're telling me.
You might be right.
Okay. I'm just wondering because my whole childhood is flashing through my eyes. Luke, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I feel like that is a very fair criticism of this movie, but it's more of a criticism of the first one. Like they did a bad job of casting young Anakin. No. They went way too young, obviously, in the first one, which is why
we had talked about that. Like they cast him way too young. He should have been closer to her age in the first one. So yeah, just bringing it over to this, it just made it even weirder, especially the sexual tension, which we'll get into. It was just,
Agreed.
Okay. I might as well just mention my first one because it's sort of on the same point of like Anakin and his relationship. So I did not care too much for the Obi-Wan Anakin relationship. My thing is he was almost more mature at 9 years old than he was at 19 with 10 years of Jedi training. And I was just like, that is so stupid to me. He was like this whiny 13-year-old boy. He's supposed to be 19. He's supposed to be being trained on discipline or whatever. And so when I'm talking about like, it's too much on the nose, it's like, I don't know how the Jedi would be like, yeah, this guy's a good guy. I would assume watching episode 2, the entire time, like this is a bad guy trying to be good, not a good guy that is trying to stop himself from being bad, because the way he talked to people, including Kenobi, it was just, I just thought it was too much on the nose. I didn't care for it. And then like Kenobi, he's supposed to be a Jedi, but yet he talks to him in like such a bad way. Like, like when he's like, what did he say? Maybe your senses aren't as attuned as you think, young Padawan. It's just snarky. And I'm just like, I get like there's supposed to be this sibling type tension between them. Like he's supposed to be more of like an older brother to Anakin, but it's still just like, that's not the way Jedi act. Like, can you pretend like you're trying to be a Jedi? I just did not get that from Anakin's performance, if that makes sense. I thought like, yeah, this guy's bad guy. I know he's going to be bad. That's like, you're supposed to make me feel that he's a good guy and that he turns bad. Luke, you had something?
I respect your opinion, Ryan. I feel like you are completely wrong, but I respect your opinion, my friend. The end of episode 1 kind of made it clear Obi-Wan was never really the one. He never asked for this to be the mentor, to be the. He was not supposed to have Padawan Anakin Skywalker. That was never his plan. So I like that he said that, because it kind of showed that maybe he's not the perfect master, that he doesn't always have the right thing to say. And you could see how Anakin could kind of get a little like, oh, it's never good enough for him with that comment that he made, because your senses aren't nearly attuned. It's like, and yours are. It's like, possibly. Like that kind of, to me, that was a good thing, where it showed he was forced into this role. He didn't want to be in this role in the first place. He just felt like he had to live up to what Qui-Gon wanted from him. And then Anakin, a 9-year-old kid who with no father figure, hasn't had the chance to go through his rebellious stage yet. So of course he's going to have that with this guy who I thought it made sense to me.
At 19. Okay, here's the problem though. So here's the problem. If you're like talking like 3 years down the road, I get it. Like, okay, you know, he's trying to mentor this kid. He didn't want to do it. This is 10 years. Like with Jedi training, where you're supposed to be self-sacrificing and reasonable and whatever the case may be. So, Brian, you have something to add?
Yeah, I don't 100% agree with you, just because like if you're with someone for 10 years, you're going to like develop this like personality with them where you're having a banter back and forth, which it was more of like a, I don't know, if it was like a, if you have brothers, it's like, this is how you kind of talk to your brother after 10 years of being with them, especially with Anakin at this point. He wants to be, you know, out on his own. He thinks he's ready for the trials. You know, he's trying to test his boundaries with Kenobi. And part of that is by his snarkiness and kind of how he comes off towards Kenobi.
I would get it at 15, not 19. Like at 19, people are like starting to get, I just don't, like me and my brothers, I have 2 of them, right? Like I understand like the snarkiness, especially like when we were in our teens, but as we got older, like it kind of, we weren't so bad towards one another. I just like,
There's
even
a bromance.
Yeah. Well, it gets better in episode 3. Like we'll talk about that. I'm like,
but
how does it change
might
so
get
dramatically?
better because they're not around each other as much. You know, he's been with them by his side for 10 years, and this is his first mission apart. And it's like growing up with brothers, like you're going to have the most tension when you're together. It's not until you move out and you're kind of on your own that you're like, okay, we can be chill now.
I don't know. I just like Obi-Wan didn't treat Qui-Gon like that. So I just feel like, I don't know. They're both supposed to be Jedi. They're in this environment where they're supposed to be like these peacekeepers and all this training on patience and all this stuff. If this was like 2-3 years down the road, I get it. But 10 years, I'm just like, no, that's not the way that should work. Go ahead, Luke.
A couple of things. First of all, you have to remember these movies are what, 3 years apart. Like something like that. They're probably not doing the greatest job, or they aren't expecting the audience to connect a huge gap in time between the 2 movies. First of all, I wouldn't surprise me if that's one thing. First of all, they're not
fair.
expecting,
that's fair.
They'll just understand that. They will be like, well, what the heck happened between this one and that one? But also, we're talking about a guy who has not been allowed to have normal human emotions. He has not been allowed to grow up like a normal person. He's not allowed to have a crush on a girl. He's not allowed to.
No Jedi is though.
Okay, but he was too old.
That's why it's bad writing.
He already had that attachment to his mother. He already has these attachments. So now he's already been growing up as a normal person, quote unquote, whatever. And then he's being forced to not feel those things that he's already learned. And so he's kind of just he has who he is as a person and with his personality, and he's having to hold that within himself and try to put on a show of course it's going to result in snarky things.
After 10 years though, you think he'd have a little bit under control. I'm saying he was just too far off the handle for me. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's just like I don't buy
disagree,
it.
Ryan.
I believe
Especially,
you're a product of your environment. So if you're around people, this is the same argument we had with not the like the pirates in the Black Panther What If. You didn't see that, Luke, but the What If Black Panther when he gets
I've had enough
taken
Marvel,
by,
Ryan.
Yeah.
I've had enough Marvel.
When he gets taken by pirates, but then all the pirates turn good and you're like, what? That doesn't make any sense because he should have turned back. That's the way I feel about Anakin. I understand he was 9 years old. I understand he had attachments, but he's being trained a certain way for 10 straight years. And if early on, the first couple of years, he was having troubles with it and keeping it inside, I get it. But after 10 years, it's like, and then the Jedi and Obi-Wan are like, oh yeah, he's a good guy. I just don't see how they see like, yeah, he's Jedi material. He was not Jedi material throughout the whole movie. I'm just throwing that out there.
What if he didn't have those emotions and feelings until Padme came back into his life and it all came flying out again? And you just didn't see that he was fine up until that moment. You can't prove otherwise.
Well, no, because Obi-Wan made the comment, he's arrogant. Yeah, he mentioned that he's arrogant, so that he didn't trust him going on the mission alone because he's arrogant. And that's when Yoda's like, that seems common among Jedi, even the more experienced ones today, you know, like that's why he said that, because he, you know, it seemed like a personality trait that he has continued to have for the last 10 years.
Sounds like a bunch of Jedi have that problem. Like maybe that makes sense then, Ryan.
No, because the Jedi have more subtle arrogance. It wasn't so in your face.
They didn't say that.
I'm just telling you, it just doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't. Let's go. Travis, you got a bad for us?
Yeah, I do. So I'm gonna kind of touch on what you guys talked about, but so basically from all the video games that I played as a kid and some of the movies, you get the whole idea that Jedi basically are very slow about what they do, but it's well thought out. They plan ahead, they meditate and make sure that everything they're doing makes sense, why they're doing it, and that's why they execute the way they do. However, they kind of get made to be fools in this movie, at least it's the start of it. And that goes into Palpatine being able to control basically everything, and he's moving all the pieces where he wants them to. So a couple things with the Jedi that they don't like stop and think about. The first one is that they sent Anakin and Padme alone when he's still a Padawan. It's like, why do they do that? Even when somebody already said it, but Obi-Wan said he's not ready. Mm-hmm. And they still just ignored it. So that was kind of one of the things that they did. And going along with that, they shouldn't have done it because of how rebellious Anakin is, which you guys have already talked about. And he's very arrogant and has no respect, basically, it seems like at times for people. And you could see that there's one scene where him and Padme are walking at Naboo, and she's like, no, I want to go in this area. And he's like, excuse me, I'm in charge here. And then like, it's like an awkward silence between all the people that are walking with them. So anyways, that was one of the things that the Jedi do. The other one is they don't see the master plan they can't foresee the master plan for the clone army. They don't really raise a lot of questions as to, okay, well, why did this other Jedi agree to have these millions upon millions of clones made? And then even at the end of the movie, they don't even question it. They're just like, okay, we're going to use this army and we're going to war with it because that's what we got and that's all we have. So they didn't really even talk about that. But yeah, it just goes to show Palpatine's power, I guess, but they just get made to look like idiots, which I didn't like because you always think that Jedi are held higher than that. So
yeah, go ahead, Chris. Thanks for watching this clip of our movie review for Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. If you'd like to listen to more of our thoughts with the great, the good, the bad, and the ugly, go ahead and look at the description below. There will be links to the podcast, and you can go to the podcast feed to find other reviews of TVs, shows, and movies that we have done. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, follow me on Instagram at NuttieBuddie _entertainment when I drop podcasts. And that's all I got for you. Thanks so much again for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and we will talk to you guys soon.